Imagine it's the 1980s. The VHS versus Betamax format war is in full swing. Amid the chaos, Sony unveils a cutting-edge innovation, Super Beta HiFi. Now, this revolutionary format promised superior picture quality and unparalleled audio fidelity. But its story is one of brilliance overshadowed. Today, we're going to dive into its history, development, and the legacy of Sony's Super Beta HiFi. And specifically, was it a format designed for home music recording? Stay tuned.
Sharp, sharper, sharpest. That's what people look for in home video, a sharper picture. We know because we conducted a test to see how we stacked up against the competition. And more people chose Sony Betamax as having a sharper picture than VHS.
The Betamax format was introduced by Sony all the way back in 1975 as one of the very first consumer video cassette recording systems. Now, it was compact, it was technologically advanced, and Betamax delivered better video quality than its rival VHS. But despite all of its technical merits, Betamax still struggled in the marketplace. In an effort to regain ground, Sony introduced SuperBeta in 1985. By tweaking the luminance signal, SuperBeta offered enhanced picture resolution, going from 240 lines all the way up to 290 lines on regular tape. Now, that was a significant improvement over standard Betamax. But Sony wasn't done yet. That same year, they unveiled Super Beta HiFi, combining the improved video performance of SuperBeta with a groundbreaking audio system. Super Beta HiFi was Sony's attempt to reclaim dominance in a market increasingly dominated by VHS. But what made it stand out wasn't just the video quality, it was the sound. Super Beta HiFi's real innovation lays in its audio capabilities. Now, by integrating a high-fidelity audio system along with the video signal, Sony created a format that could deliver stereo sound comparable to compact discs. Now, this was achieved through frequency modulation, good old FM, of the audio signal. Now, this reduced noise and offered a dynamic range that was previously unheard of in home video formats. Compared to VHS Hi-Fi, Super Beta HiFi's sound was crisper and more consistent. The FM-based audio reduced hiss and distortion, making it ideal for music enthusiasts and home theater setups. Combined with the format's superior video quality, it was a dream for home entertainment. Super Beta HiFi wasn't just about better sound. It was about creating an immersive experience that rivaled professional studio equipment. Now remember, at this time, digital recording in the home was basically non-existent. Sure, there were PCM encoders and some digital recorders, but the average enthusiast didn't own them. And Beta HiFi is an analog format, and high-end analog recording was something previously left in the hands of audiophiles. Despite its technical superiority, Super Beta HiFi faced a lot of challenges. By the mid-1980s, VHS had already captured the lion's share of the market. Manufacturers of VHS players offered longer recording times, and they aggressively marketed the format, making it the preferred choice for consumers. Now, Sony's decision to keep Betamax proprietary was a double-edged sword. Now, while it ensured quality control, it also limited adoption compared to VHS, which was licensed to multiple manufacturers. This ultimately led to Betamax's declining market share. Even with superior technology, Super Beta HiFi couldn't compete with the convenience and the availability of VHS. However, it did find a niche among audiophiles and videophiles who valued quality over quantity. Sony targeted a more specialized audience with Super Beta HiFi, emphasizing its potential as a premium home entertainment solution. Super Beta HiFi was actually a remarkable home audio format as well. Now, its ability to record and play back high-quality stereo sound made it a popular choice for audio enthusiasts. Many users took advantage of its audio fidelity to record live music performances and even use it as a pseudo audio mastering system. Now, the format's durability and clarity made it an unexpected contender in the audio recording space. The dynamic range and the low noise levels of SuperBeta HiFi surpass that of traditional audio cassettes, making it a viable option for serious home audio applications. Now, I think it's time for a test of that claim. Let's take a look around my SuperBeta HiFi deck and do a comparison between a digital file and a recording made on this deck. Now, this is my SuperBeta HiFi setup right here, and what I think makes this kind of interesting is it's actually two separate components. The top one here is a regular Sony Super Betamax VCR. It's an SL HFR 70. Pretty nice unit from back in the day, and it does add the SuperBeta HiFi capability to it. We'll go through that in a second. But the VCR itself, pretty full-featured for its time in the 80s. It's a Beta 2 and 3 speed VCR. By this time, the Beta 1 speed had been phased out because you only got an hour and a half on a standard tape. So the Beta 2 actually gave you 3 hours, and then the Beta 3 gave you 4.5 hours of recording time. But this one, pretty nice, got tracking, sharpness control, switchable between the tuner, line inputs, soft touch controls on it, digital display. A pretty nice unit, and it's front load. Now, what I think is the most interesting thing in this setup is the Beta HiFi module down here on the bottom. And it actually plugs in on the back with a proprietary connector, and this is what actually embeds that audio signal into the video of the recording on the VCR. I think it's fascinating. But if we take a look at this, it actually looks like a piece of hi-fi equipment if you look at it. Starting on the left-hand side, you've got a headphone jack with a level control for that. We have real nice LED VU meters with recording level controls separate for each channel. You can turn the Beta HiFi on or off. Down here, you have SAP, which is secondary audio program. In a lot of towns in that time, it might have been a Spanish language broadcast or something like that. You can do auto stereo, an MPX filter. That's all for off-the-air stereo broadcasts. But here we have a switch to select the line audio and another one for audio only. So that will only record audio onto the tape. So that's making use of the SuperBeta HiFi just for sound. And that's what really drew me to this one, was they're actually marketing this as something just to record audio on too, which I thought was really neat. You have a monitor switch here. You can listen to the stereo or just the left or right channel. I mean, it really is set up like a piece of home stereo equipment. So I think Sony, really did a good job here. Now, some, other models and later VCRs on the Betamax line had the SuperBeta HiFi, everything built into one unit. But I kind of like the way this one looks. It's got a nice look to it with that separate component. Let's get a tape put in this thing. We'll record some selection from the YouTube audio library into it and do a comparison with the original digital file, see what it sounds like. Wow. Now, to me, that sounds pretty close. I mean, they're pretty well indistinguishable. I think the average person probably would have thought this was a very high-end recording on maybe a reel-to-reel or something. Now, what do you think? With that comparison, can you tell the difference? Do you think one sounds better than the other? Or are they pretty well indistinguishable? Now, I can see why this could have been marketed as a home recording format because it sounds really, really good. Though Betamax and SuperBeta HiFi ultimately lost the format war, their legacy endures. Now, their technological advancements pioneered by Sony paved the way for future innovations in both video and audio. The emphasis on high-quality video and audio that SuperBeta HiFi championed lives on in today's home entertainment systems. Meanwhile, Betamax players and tapes are sought-after collectibles for enthusiasts and archivists. Archivists have found Betamax to be a surprisingly durable format, preserving priceless memories and professional recordings from an era when quality mattered most. SuperBeta HiFi, to me, was more than just a format. It was a vision for what home entertainment could actually be. Now, it may not have won the war, but I think it set a standard for quality that still resonates today. Now, what are your memories of Betamax and SuperBeta HiFi? Make sure you share them in the comments below. I want to thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more dives into tech history. Until next time, happy watching.